Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We got it! We got
New 52 booklet.
it! Somebody clip this.
So that's it. What, we some kind of suicide squad?
Thank you, Deadshot. And yes, you are a Suicide Squad. Welcome to Justice League Rewatch. I'm Jared. I'm here with Nick from the Phoenix Press. As always, what's up, brother?
Oh, so I feel like I need to do a task and probably assemble a force to it and make sure that X marks the spot.
You are really struggling for that pun, aren't you? All right, so we're talking about Task Force X, the introduction of the DCAU Suicide Squad. Now, who are the Suicide Squad? They're a team of villains that go on Black Ops missions for the government, mostly Amanda Waller. And if they survive, they get time off the prison sentence. Which, by the way, I love how when this episode to start off, they don't do the whole implanting a bomb in your neck. What they do is they put bomb like nanites in your food, and you eat the food.
I mean, he says he did.
He says he did. Yeah, it would be hilarious if there are no bombs whatsoever, and this is just a joke. I mean, they don't tell him that.
It would be quite the excellent joke. Yes, I'm going to be doing a lot of X puns. So, wait, no. Is this Elon Musk's personal?
This is the enforcement arm of Twitter, but
no X. This is Task Force X.
Yeah,
X. This is
So it's kind of funny going off of this. So coming from more modern DC fans, isn't it kind of weird to see the Suicide Squad without Harley Quinn on it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she exists as a character at this point that this episode is airing. Just she's not on the squad.
Yeah, because this came out like what, 2002, 2003?
Mm-hmm. And she was introduced in BTAS.
Yeah, and she only became part of the comics proper, I think, 98, 99. So she had only really been a part of the DC universe for a few years now, and Harley Quinn mania really didn't start kicking off until the late 2000s.
Until the Suicide Squad movie really kicked it off.
We've had our debates about this, brother.
But the other thing is that Harley Quinn on the Suicide Squad, that actually was not a thing for the movie. What that actually was, in the new 52, when they rebooted the Suicide Squad, that was when they put her, Deadshot, and Boomerang on the team, and those became like essentially the Trinity, which is what made it really stupid when James Gunn killed Captain Boomerang in his version of Suicide Squad.
Now, before that in the 2000s, I think the only group affiliation Harley had was the Gotham City Sirens, which is basically like her, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah, exactly. Which that was... I wasn't really as familiar with that. It's just really Harley Quinn crossed my radar. Actually, for this, when I saw the Suicide Squad movie, I had no idea who the character was. Because again, at that point, I was only watching the movies, and I hadn't watched I hadn't seen BTAS or anything like that yet. So it was kind of cool getting introduced to this character that's like Joker's girlfriend. Or
I mean, I was familiar with Harley Quinn because
you're old.
Well, I knew you were going to make that joke. I was trying to head you off of the past, but
I guess never had me off of the past, Nick. No, sorry.
You had excellent timing with that.
Thank you. You could say I have a lot of experience doing this. So
I guess you could say we're a bunch of X-Men. Oh, sorry, wrong publisher.
So what's kind of, Nick, don't get me sued by Marvel. So what's kind of cool about this also throws back to the God of War episode that we covered last season with Wonder Woman, because the squad is sent into the Justice League's HQ, which, by the way, I will be titling this episode Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. They go into the Justice League's headquarters to get the God of War armor from the original from that
Zeus!
episode. What?
Where's the blades of Athena?
Yeah, I know. Now, what's kind of funny about
Boy.
it, what's really funny is I love where to get the armor started, Rick Flagg just punches Captain Boomerang. And by the way, I listened to Rick Flagg and I was like, where's that voice from? Is that Jane from Firefly? Is that the dude whose autograph I happen to have on my wall?
I mean, not only that, but do you realize who's voicing Deadshot? Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah. Wow. Oh yeah, that's great.
You didn't recognize his voice? Like he was
sounded
definitely
familiar.
he was being subtle with his voice, but if you know Michael Rosenbaum, you can geek out.
And it was kind of funny. Adam Baldwin also voiced Hal Jordan like a couple of episodes ago.
Well, here's the other thing about Adam Baldwin. Adam Baldwin was actually because Adam Baldwin is very like punchy with his voice. Like he kind of has like that voice that like goes out there. But he was kind of like this, very, like kind of more subdued, like his cadence and voice. Like both of them actually. So he's like they've been going like this and like talking like this and being we got to get this done. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And what's cool, so according to this piece of trivia, with the exception of Rick Flagg, each member of Task Force X belongs to the Rogues Gallery of one of the members of the Justice League in DC Comics. So for Batman, it's Deadshot and Clock King. For the Flash, obviously, it's Captain Boomerang. For Captain Atom, it's Plastique. And then Green Arrow is also an enemy of Clock King. So that's kind of cool how they like pick their team members.
Also,
then,
I love how okay, so this next thing was about as subtle as a brick, but I like how Clock King is the one keeping them on time.
You know what? That's kind of funny. I didn't notice that. Wow.
It is so unsubtle.
That is so good. Wow.
He's always the one like you're off schedule, you're not on time. Like it is about as subtle as James Gunn saying he's gonna make a great Superman movie.
Or like when James Gunn's saying, I really relate to Superman because he's everything I am. And I'm like, wow. By the way, this episode is also the only time in the DCAU that someone calls John Jones the Martian Manhunter.
Is it the only or like one of?
It says John Jones is called the Martian Manhunter by another character, Clock King, for the first and only time in the DCAU. Because everyone else just calls him Jean.
Huh.
Which, that's kind of cool. I like that. So, and then what's kind of cool, Nick, is that this is kind of building toward... I remember I told you about how, like, these shows, while they don't follow a narrative, they develop something that's going to be paid off in a later episode. This is basically that, because they're basically putting the Legion of Doom back together. I'm going to, like, do that. And it's going to be actually really cool for that episode, because it involves Flash, and it's really, really funny.
So what you're saying is they're making a league of their own?
Yes. By the way, the reason why it was called Task Force X in this episode, not the Suicide Squad, is because according to standards and practices, you can't use the word suicide.
Yeah.
Which I will give this to Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. They made it work because they were able to use like heroes like Darkseid, the Suicide Squad. They were smart enough to figure out ways that they could still because the lazy thing to do would be to just exclude those elements from their DC universe. But they're like, no, let's work with it and see if we can figure out ways to have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's not like they didn't have another name ready there waiting
yeah,
in the wings that they could use.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, we'll just call it that. But even like using the villain Darkseid, they used him in the Super Friends too, which I'm like, okay.
To be fair, it's just Darkseid. There's a big difference between like Darkseid and Suicide Squad
or Deathstroke. That's why they called him Slade in Teen Titans, because you can't. They didn't want to have a villain in the teen show that has the word death in his thing, his title.
I'm sorry, but like you said Slade, all of a sudden my mind was filled with Ron Perlman's amazing voice for that character.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but Ron Perlman.
I'm sorry, Nick. we may have to cover that for a rewatch season, but because
after the mini season I have coming up on mine, we're doing it. We may do it on mine. Actually,
yeah,
yes,
because that's an excellent idea. We can't not with the stuff that we cover on this show. There's no way one of us has to cover it, and you can have it because you're more of a Teen Titans guy.
We'll talk after we're done recording.
But anyway, so it's kind of cool seeing non-powered guys have to like fight like gods. But what do you think of how like the Watchtower crew come to work every day to like dropped off in an abandoned field?
I feel like it's kind of like being on a ship or like a fishing boat where it's like you take 2-week stints onto the Watchtower, like you're away for like a month, 2 months, they get teleported back, kind of thing. Like because like that doing that every day really isn't that practical. But like if you're going, because if you notice, there was only really a couple of them that did that. So I really do feel like the shift, they're like up because they're probably up there for like rotation.
Like a
tour rotations.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We also get like a lot more into like the security of the Watchtower. My only issue with this episode is Captain Boomerang managed to hit his metal boomerangs strapped to his arm under his sleeve. Unless that sleeve is like lined with lead, why didn't those get picked up? Or Deadshot's thing makes sense because it was a gun made basically of plastic. That made sense. But like Plastique just had a fake stomach. And I'm like, this doesn't get picked up?
To be fair, Plastique I can understand because hers wasn't metal. They're just explosives.
But you think if Plastique's a villain in the DC universe, they would have like a way to like detect stuff.
I mean, maybe they're not. They're like kind of assuming like, okay, if you're a staff member, we've already vetted you. We don't need to be that stringent. Kind of like I'm just guessing.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
It's a Tootsie Roll model of security, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. So the plan is for Plastique to cause a diversion. So she basically...
Very explosive.
Yeah, she basically blows a bomb near the core of the Justice League Watchtowers. That's a ballsy move right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that distracts the heavy hitters of the Justice League, like Captain Atom, because he has to go in and like absorb the nuclear radiation. But I love how they get the suit and it won't move. So Rick Flag just decks Captain Boomerang and he goes, "Oh, it only moves through rage. You could have told me that beforehand."
But then he would have been mad.
Is it just me, or do you also wish that they did a Task Force X like series? Because when you think about it, they could use like every villain. And you could have a rotating cast of characters because that's the fun part with the squad.
The only thing that I want that's suicide related is the Ayer cut.
That is true. That is very true. And by the way, hashtag release the Ayer cut. We do want that. So, which by the way, we probably will get that at some point. But the other thing is, so I also... And the action in this episode is pretty cool. I like when they this is some of the things I love about a fiction. And this applies to Star Wars too. Yes, I'm going to reference Star Wars in a Justice League show. Yeah, in a second. I like when non-powered or very minimal powered beings go up against gods.
I will say I do have one critique about this episode.
Which is?
Why did nobody start a fire? Because you had this, like, when we did their Avatar thing just a second ago, you raised this, like, logical thing. Now I'm going to do the same thing to you, buddy. Like, Martian Manhunter's weakness is fire. And it's pretty well known, especially for those type of people. Martian Manhunter, like Rick Flag should have known, Martian Manhunter is weak against fire. It's reasonable to assume he knows that. Because he is, like, a top-level government.
Well, wait, here's the thing. It gets worse. You know who his boss is? Amanda Waller, who probably knows all this.
Like, and there was explosions. There was fire going around. Why was he never afraid of it?
To be clear, here's a way to kind of rectify that. It could be that they didn't start a fire because they wanted to look like it was small scale and not like government run by someone that would know that weakness.
All right, take a hip flask, okay? This hip flask is full of gasoline, all right? And as you're trying to escape, all right? Or it's like a very, like, a type of liquid that burns really hot. You lay it on the ground, take a match, swoosh, firewall.
Yeah, but how many people at this point outside of the Justice League know that's John's weakness?
You literally answered your question a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
Rick Flagg is taking orders from Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller would know his weakness is fire. Because it's Amanda Waller's job to know everything about these characters. So Amanda Waller would know. And thus, if they're trying to do this, where they know Martian Manhunter, she she would have relayed that information to Rick Flagg, and they should have planned that. Like, they planned this to the detail. Even Martian Manhunter says it. Why didn't they have some sort of like they could have said, "Oh, this is Cadmus's labs. This is the thing where it's like we lay it on the ground in a match and it burns fire for like you could have."
Question here: there are some continuities where it's not really a weakness for Martian Manhunter.
It is in the JLU.
It is. Remind me, where was that brought up?
I swear it's been brought up before. Like I'm pretty sure it has been.
That's the thing. I'm not sure if it's been brought up, and because I know in the comics he is weak to fire, but it's changed every now and then from being weak to it to being afraid of it because of what happened to his family. But here's the thing: his family didn't like burn up on Mars; they were taken over by the Imperium guy. So that's the thing. I get what you're saying, Nick, because if he is weak to fire in this universe, then yes. Weak to fire in the DCAU because here's something. Hang on.
All right, what's your source?
Quora, but I'm trying to check this. Actually, this is comics. I'm trying to find DCAU. And by the way, anyone in the comments that knows this, please drop this in because it's been debated on whether or not it's a actual weakness to fire or it's a psychological fear of fire.
I mean, either way.
Either way.
Assuming this actually exists in the JLU, because honestly, the argument hinges.
Let's assume it is.
The argument hinges on if it actually is, because if he's not actually that and I'm wrong, then my entire argument just goes up in a puff of smoke.
Pun intended.
Yes, very much. But if it is, then I'm justified. But it literally hinges on, is he actually weak to fire? So if you tell me he actually isn't and I was wrong and I gaslit myself into thinking he was, then I'll admit I was wrong. So
yeah, I mean, if he is, let's assume he is. Let's just assume he is.
Because I swear there was an earlier episode that showed that and touched upon it. I can't remember the actual episode, but I swear there was. I may have guessed.
It may have been the episode where, remember when everyone has like their nightmares or something like that, and like Batman has to stay up, so he like goes to grab coffee.
Yeah.
The point is, let's assume he is. Yes, that is a plot hole because they would have brought that up. It's a very big plot hole. I get that. I guess because they had to figure out a way to get one of the Suicide Squad to get their ass kicked by Jean, but still.
And since neither of us can verify whether he is or isn't, like you don't have evidence, I don't have evidence. It's kind of a toss-up, so let's just kind of call it a draw and just not.
That works. But besides that, everything's really good this episode. They escape. Plastique is actually injured and taken captive by the Justice League, and that's the one thing Amanda Waller doesn't like, which is loose ends. Now, what do you also? Yeah, go ahead.
You're talking about setup and payoff earlier. They actually set up the what is in here? I take a hostage. Like they literally talked about that earlier in the episode, and then now and then she does the bomb right in front of Adam's match. Which, by the way, Adam Smasher, he's a character we see in Black Adam.
Yeah, a lot of the JSA are on the JLU in this. By the way, so fun fact, when Waller mentions Rick's father, he was a World War II veteran in the comics and a member of the original Task Force X.
Wasn't Rick Flagg Sr. like a good friend of Sergeant Rock?
I think so. I think they served together.
Yeah, they were contemporaries.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's the one thing I do like about the DCAU. They make all these like really deep comic references, so you can tell these guys are actual like comic book heads. I mean, it's Paul Dini and Bruce Timm.
Oh my god. Okay, he has one bad opinion about ships. That doesn't mean he's not. He is a genius.
Have you seen the way they did Wonder Woman in the series? I rest my case.
In this series?
In JL and JLU, they make Wonder Woman like such a love-struck, stuck on Batman character when that's not who she is.
Stuck on Batman? It's like one episode, bro.
No, multiple episodes throughout the entire series. She's like, oh my gosh, Batman.
A few moments of this kind of stuff. She's a great character. Like, I don't understand why, like, you're taking like a small aspect of her character.
Well, wait,
like,
Nick. Wait till you see next week's episode, because they do something with Wonder Woman's origin that takes an already controversial part of Wonder Woman's newer origin and makes it infinitely worse.
Does she join some Amazons and singing on a ship?
No.
I'm
debating whether or not I should just tell you, because I want you to watch the episode and you be the judge of this.
Also, I love how I could just tell through your expression you knew exactly what I was referencing.
Yeah.
I don't think they even actually done that at this. Like, I don't think that comic origin had even been done in the comics yet at this point.
No, I'll give you a hint on which origin. It's the... Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to tell you. I want to see if you pick this up. They kind of imply something that is stupid as hell. They didn't have to do this.
Is it Zeus in his most classic form?
No, it's not Zeus. It in no way involves Zeus. That would make sense.
No. Zeus in his most classic form.
In no way does it involve Zeus.
Okay.
That's what's stupid, Nick, because if it involves Zeus in any way, that would make sense, because they would be doing that origin.
You don't understand what I'm trying to... I'll
drop in the private chat. Drop in the private chat. And I'll give you a yes or no. We'll do this live on the show so I could see. Because this is going to be... Because when you watch this, it's not like... It's kind of insulting, but it's also really stupid. All right, so let's see what Nick said. Okay. See, here's the thing.
Because you know that's what Zeus is known for.
Yes, it doesn't involve Zeus in any way.
Yeah, but I was trying to say, like that's the the second word.
I know that's what you're referencing. In no way does this involve Zeus. That's why this is.
I can't say that word here, but you know that.
Yeah, this is incredibly stupid, and it's something that could only happen in a universe that looks down on Wonder Woman.
Is there clay involved?
No.
So they didn't give her the Snyder origin.
No, the Snyder origin is the Zeus origin.
No, it was the clay.
No. Remember, in the movie, that's just the story she was told. She was the god killer that Zeus left on Paradise Island.
Well, to be fair, they just call it Themyscira now.
Well, it's hard to say, Nick. It's hard to say.
Themyscira.
Remember, even in 1984, she called Zeus her father.
All right.
This one is one of those things where it's seen by the Wonder Woman fandom, and this is the one time I will agree with the Wonder Woman fandom. It's one of the stupidest changes they could have made. It's astounding. So anyway, back to this episode, which, by the way, I love this episode, the Suicide Squad episode. I'm just going to tell you right now, I give this one a solid 9.5 out of 10. It's really fun. They highlight a lot of lesser known characters, which is the appeal and draw and what I really love about Justice League Unlimited. Every character, whether big or small, gets a moment in this series.
You know, I was gonna give this a 9, but then I was like, you know what, frick it, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 because I really dug. This is a heist episode. It was they played it out.
They even have heist music playing. That's the fun part about it.
Yeah, and like the writing, the editing, it's played out like a heist, like a classic heist. And I gotta say, I'm sorry, Rick and Morty, but I love heists. I heist stuff. You son of a biscuit, I'm in.
It's so much fun. And this is one of my favorite episodes of JLU for that reason. And it doesn't involve it's Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. This is one of the episodes because that was a critique that you had when we started JLU. Rightly so, by the way, Nick. I want to make sure you know that like a lot of these episodes, since they only involved the characters from the previous series, felt like just unused JL scripts.
I mean, even like honestly, it's as simple as a character running through the corridor, and he for example, we saw a 2-second shot of Richard Dragon running into the camera, like 2 seconds. Like that is JLU to me. It's just a random character.
Actually, that was Vibe. That wasn't Richard Dragon.
Well, Vibe chess game is really strong. I'm just gonna say
he looks like Richard Dragon. I think that's the way the character looked back then. But so
I'm not really digging his vibe. I just gotta say it.
Oh my gosh! So all in all, a pretty fantastic episode. Next week is gonna be a team up episode between Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl. So they're finally gonna hash out that tension that they had about Hawkgirl turning out to be a spy.
Nikki.
No, they don't. And
Wonder Hawk.
And this is going to be an episode where we really delve into Wonder Woman's lore. I have to see who wrote this episode so I can see who to divert my rage to. Let me see. If it's Bruce Timm, I'm gonna be so
Wonder Hawk.
Stop it. It's
you know the best part is that it could be either Hawk Girl or Hawk Man. So it's like
either way, it doesn't work. So who wrote this episode? Story is by Stan Berkowitz. Teleplay by Dwayne McDuffie. So the story. No. Wait. The story itself is by Stan. The adapting to the TV show is by Dwayne. So
I already know what you're going to say.
He's
not even Dwayne could save this script.
Not even Dwayne can save this retcon. That is as one of the most unbelievably stupid things ever.
Also,
actually, wait. I just looked up. They do play with the made from clay origin, but it's infinitely worse.
Next week is gonna be fun.
Next week, I'm gonna go on rants, dude. This is gonna be my lowest ranked DC episode as a Wonder Woman fan, because I'm like, why did you do this?
Okay.
This is gonna be so much fun. So so that's where we're gonna leave it. Welcome to 2024, people, and we will see you in the next episode.